Welcome to my review of Outrun. Back in 1986, a game was released in the arcades that would wow the world with its lush graphics, insanely catchy tunes, and unparalleled gameplay. It was every boy's fantasy of any age to be driving the most desirable car of the time, a Ferrari Testarossa, have a beautiful sun-tanned blonde at your side, and miles of open road with stunning scenery to be let loose on. For those not old enough to remember when Outrun was released, it's difficult to understand what all the fuss is about. But you see, back in 1986, there simply wasn't anything like it out there. Sure, Yu Suzuki had come out with Hang On the year before, and Atari had pole position, but nothing that looked and played like Outrun. When people first saw the deluxe sit-down cabinet that moved on hydraulics and the speakers blaring out some of the greatest music of all time with the roar of the engine, people like myself were hooked. The game itself has you race across several stages, each themed with a particular country or locale in mind. And you must reach the end of that stage before the time runs out. Before you reach the end of the stage, you are offered a choice of two directions to take, with the left stage always being less of a challenge than the right. Each transition from one stage to the other seamlessly blends together, and before you know it, you're on to the next stage. So who was the genius behind such a groundbreaking game? That man was Mr. Yu Suzuki, leading his division called AM2. Yu Suzuki had joined Sega back in 1983 and was already the toast of Sega, having made two hugely successful games. There had been the brilliantly innovative bike racer Hang On, and there was the jaw-droppingly good worldwide hit blaster called Space Harrier. For his next project, Yu Suzuki had wanted to do another racer that was inspired by the Burt Reynolds star-studded film called The Cannonball Run, which was about illegal racing across America. But to make the scenery more interesting, Yu Suzuki instead based his around Europe, and so giving him much more freedom with the look of each of the stages. Having decided on his next game, he arranged for a road trip around Europe, attaching a video camera to the car for future graphic inspiration. Perhaps this may all seem quite lavish, when a travel book with pictures would suffice, but when you have somebody like Yu Suzuki knocking out hits, Sega were more than willing to indulge him and his team. Budget and time and system limitations meant that Yu Suzuki's original plan to have a choice of cars and different race characters, each with their own story arc, had to be curtailed into just having one car and one character. The car he chose was the gorgeous Ferrari Testarossa that was the latest supercar to wow the motoring world. It really shows the attention to detail that Yu Suzuki gives to his games, that his team and himself were willing to travel for hours and hours just to see the real Ferrari Testarossa, so that they could take pictures and record the engine to ensure that they would make it feel as completely authentic as they could in the game. And that extra attention to detail and quality really oozes from every single pore of the game, offering a racing experience and handling that hold up well even today. But one game isn't made by one man alone, and Yu Suzuki was supported by a truly gifted set of individuals. One such man worth of note was Hiroshi Kawaguchi, who was the man behind the fantastic music in the game. Despite some general direction that Yu Suzuki had given him, it was Hiroshi who put together the three classic tunes, which are still considered by many as the best music in any video game to date. Outrun went on to be another worldwide hit game for Yu Suzuki and Sega, and so naturally, like all arcade hits, Outrun went on to be ported across to countless home consoles and computer systems. On the following section of this retrospective, I wanted to quickly cover the various ports of the game, as for many it is the ports that we most played and fondly remember. First we have the Commodore 64. It had horrendous loading times, so it played actually quite well. Then we had the Spectrum. It played a little bit slow, had the notoriously bad multi-loading, and the Amstrad CPC was a bit of a travesty really, horrible handling, although it looked quite nice. Now the Master System is a great cracking little game. It plays much like a very simplified version, and here we have the 3D variant, which is, in my opinion, not as good as the original. Now the Game Gear version is really cute. The game plays not as bad as you think. It's actually quite enjoyable, although not really Outrun, but still fun nonetheless. The PC DOS, oh dear, poor handling. It does its best, but there you go. The MSX, this actually plays like a poor Spectrum version. People say it's identical. The MSX2, much more enjoyable, reminds me a lot of the Master System version. The PC Engine, for an 8-bit, this is absolutely fantastic, and apart from the Mega Drive, it's probably the next best. This is the Mega Drive version, as close as you can really get back in the day to only the Outrun game. The Saturn version, absolutely stunning version of the game, arcade perfect, and it has additional music. The Game Boy Advance version, this came out obviously much later, like the Saturn. For home portable play, it's as good as you're going to get. The Dreamcast, a rather strange version of the game, pretty much arcade perfect, but Sega did have to make changes to the graphics. It is interesting to note that this version of Outrun not only came out on the Yu Suzuki Games Work pack, but also as a freebie on the game Shenmue 2. Well, I hope you enjoyed my review of Outrun and it brought back many fond memories for you. And I now will just leave you with the 5 different endings of Outrun. Enjoy.